majoring in business administration with a concentration in entrepreneurship as well as marketing. And on behalf of the School of Business and NC Growth, we would like to thank you for coming here this evening to enjoy the Black Community Conference for Collaboration discussion panel. And right now, I would like to introduce my professor, Dr. Henry McCoy.
Thank you, Kia, for that introduction. I appreciate it. So how's everybody doing today? Everybody doing all right?
Good.
Appreciate you coming out this evening on 6 o'clock on Monday. I know you get back to the week and you probably want to go home and kind of get ready for the rest of the week. So I appreciate you coming out today and taking part in this. And so as the presentation says, we're going to talk a little bit today about this idea of Black communities across the United States, which I don't know if any of you are getting a chance to take part in the Black Communities Conference that is happening downtown Durham. It's a great event. Kicked off this morning to go through Wednesday. And so what we want to do with this event, we want to actually have something that folks could actually come to without having to pay to go to the conference. And so that was kind of the idea behind it. And so the conference is actually, this particular event is actually slated for a couple hours. I don't even want to keep you here for a couple hours and try to get you out of here, but I wanted to kind of give some context of kind of what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to do a bit of an overview and give some background. What the background I'm going to do is basically pick up on this theme around the Search of Wakanda. And how many of y'all have seen the movie Black Panther? Okay, so we have an informed audience. So some of these things won't be lost on you. So we're going to look at that kind of from an overarching viewpoint in terms of what does that say about Black entrepreneurship in the 21st century. It's going to also talk about not only that from a national standpoint, but we're going to dig a little bit deeper and talk a bit about North Carolina, and particularly Durham. And part of that context is that, at least in my opinion, Durham and the Hayti community may be the closest thing that Black Americans ever had to Wakanda. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the history of Hayti. But what the kind of meat of the program is, I'm going to set the stage. We're going to have 4 great panelists that will get a chance to come up here and share the knowledge and wisdom. And so setting the stage really focuses around this idea of the role of education, and particularly universities have in terms of finding what we call the vibranium of Black communities in the 21st century. And then we're going to have an opportunity for you to take part, and so come up with your questions, things of that nature. We have somebody running out the audience with a microphone. So does that sound all right?
Yes.
All right. So let's get started. Oh, there we go. So Search of Wakanda, what Black Panther teaches us about the economic politics of Black America in the 21st century. So Black Panther's been breaking records left and right. It opened up February 16, 2018, and it's been on a roll ever since. It's been a phenomenon. So it's at $1.2 billion in terms of gross box office and counting. It's the highest grossing movie for a solo superhero across any kind of genre. So it's the all-time leader in that. It's the second fastest grossing movie of all time. That means it got to 1.2 billion faster than everybody with Star Wars. Faster than Jurassic Park, Avengers, Avatar, and Titanic, which is pretty amazing. Third highest grossing movie of all time, any genre. So that puts it up there in weight, and it's easily the top grossing movie of all time with a predominantly Black cast, crew, and director. And so it's breaking box office records. Oh, there we go. So I don't know how many of y'all on Facebook or social media, but this is what I saw when I was on social media when Black Panther came out, right? So all these folks getting dressed up in the African gear and going out to see the movie. I mean, it was a phenomenon all across social media. You saw things like this, so folks were dressed to impress to go see the movie. In addition to that, some of you may have heard the Black Panther Challenge. The Black Panther Challenge was basically, it was started by a guy in New York who felt like he wanted to give young children who may not have the resources to go to the movies an opportunity to go see the Black Panther for free. So he started off with a GoFundMe page that was trying to raise $300,000, and it ended up raising, I think, over $1 million. We did something here in Durham at Northgate Mall where we, something called a Triangle Fatherhood Initiative, rented out a part of the movie theater and took a group of probably, I think maybe a couple hundred kids and families to see the movie. And so, you know, it's been a phenomenon from that standpoint. And so in Search of Wakanda, I try to mention this to my friends that, you know, Wakanda is actually a fictional place. I mean, it doesn't actually exist. But if it did exist, you know, the folks in Marvel Comics that put this together, that created the Black Panther in 1966, they've gone got like through far streams to make Wakanda seem like it's a real place. And so if it was a real place, it would be right there between Ethiopia, Kenya, and Nairobi. It has its own flag, the Black Panther there. The Wakanda forever, you know, you see folks do that salute. And I know a whole lot of black folks that were trying to get their passport ready to take a flight to Wakanda and maybe give up their U.S. status. And so it's been a great phenomenon from that standpoint. And to that extent, at opening weekend, 37% of moviegoers were African American, which is more than double what it usually is. It's usually about 15%. About half of those were women. So about half of the folks that went to see this movie were females. So that's been an anomaly in a lot of ways as well. So this is an academic conference, right? So we got to talk about research questions and hypotheses and all those kind of things. This is a university, so we got to be professional about it. So it brings up these kind of 4 possible questions that we could ask. Why is Black Panther such a success with Black audiences? Why not Zamunda? How many of y'all know where Zamunda is? Zamunda, coming to America, right? 1988, native birthday. And I said, you know, I didn't see in 88, I didn't see a whole bunch of people ready to move to Zamunda. But you know, there's a lot of folks ready to move to Wakanda. And so the question is, you know, why Wakanda? Why not Zamunda? Number 2, what is the relationship between what? That's a microphone. Your statement in school. Right. So the second question is, what is the relationship between seeing positive images of oneself on the screen, but then going back into a reality that's very different? And that's particularly for the question of these young kids, right? Most of the young kids that went to go see this movie as part of the Black Panther Challenge from inner city schools and inner city communities. And so the question is, you know, what is that connection between going to see a place that is, you know, aspirational and wonderful, and then going back to a world that's very different? Number 3, is this a watershed moment for Black cinema? So that comes up because the budget for Black Panther was $200 million, the production budget. The market budget was $150 million. Those are incredible numbers for any movie, let alone a movie with a predominantly African-American cast, crew, director. And so a lot of folks with the success of Black Panther are feeling like, okay, well, maybe this is the moment that the Black cinema is going to go over in Hollywood and start getting big budgets and you know, kind of new storylines and things of that nature. And then that kind of brings me to this kind of whole question. You know, what is the tangible and measurable impact that Black Panther's success will have on the Black community? So at the end of the day, okay, it made up $1.2 billion. What if it makes $10 billion? I mean, how does all that play into the success of Black America overall from a tangible standpoint? So interesting enough, academics have gotten into this conversation about Wakanda. And so these are actual papers that have been written in 2018. And economics is actually the discipline that has grabbed on Wakanda the most. So you have institutions like the Working Institute, you have Natural Resources Institute, you have the Economists, which did an article called Wakanda-like back in March. And so most of the research and the conversation, you know, the papers have been around this idea of vibranium, you know, which is you know, in the storyline, it's the strongest mineral known to man. It's the one that Black Panther suit is made out of. It's what creates the resources for Wakanda. And so, you know, it has this Wakanda mining company. So really, the economists have picked up that storyline and talked about, you know, mineral resources, Africa, and things of that nature. So the academic world has picked it up. For me, there's a more relevant question, and that's a pretty busy slide, but what it comes down to in a very simple matter is, in the 21st century, as we, a couple years away from 2020, is the only place that African Americans have to look at as an ideal place. Is it fictional? Is it on screen? That to me is a prime question. Is that, is the movie screen where we find our resolve? Is that the only place we can strive to go to? And so with that, I want to look at kind of what some folks think. So Jamal Smith, who did an article in Time magazine earlier this year, kind of captured, at the end of the day, what is it about Wakanda, the Black Panther, that has captured everybody's attention in 2018? And what it goes on to say is basically that the character came about in the civil rights movement whenever there was increased demand from African Americans from America for resources and things of that nature. Black Panther was created in 1966, so we're talking 52 years ago. And what Jamal Smith says is the revolutionary thing about Black Panther is that it envisions a world not devoid of racism, but one in which Black people have the wealth, technology, and military might to level the playing field. And so essentially what it's saying is that it's not a utopia where nobody's creating barriers because of race and things of that nature. It's really just a place where the community can fight back against those things. And so he went on to say that it's applicable to not only Hollywood but also the greater world. And so that gave some context of why he felt like that African Americans were, and even folks in Africa have really responded to this movie as well, what that connection was. So let's be real here. Let's be straight. Let's talk about the numbers. Black America is no Wakanda at this point. So poverty in Black America is not bulging. It's been essentially the same over a very long period of time. If you look at the second bullet point, from 1984 until 2009, the wealth between African American households and white households has tripled. And it continues to grow. Equal achievements such as income gains do not equate the same for African Americans as do for whites. This means that even when you have folks who make the same amount of money, even when folks get the same amount of raises, it doesn't translate to the same amount of wealth for whites as it does for African Americans. Whites tend to turn that into more wealth. Number 4, which is that whenever there's segregation, so we know that segregation is growing in a lot of ways. It's returning back to some of the mid-20th century numbers. When segregation happens, then Black communities tend to suffer more than white communities. And so we know that's an impact. Studies have come out recently by the Pew Institute that talks about how birth status, regardless of whether you're white, Black, Latino, Asian, wherever your birth status is becoming much harder to move from your birth status to a higher level. And so, but particularly for African Americans, that is the case. And so that means essentially if you are born at the bottom of the economic landscape, then it's going to be much harder for you to rise up out of that landscape. About 2 weeks ago, I was taking my son to school and we were listening to Tom Durham morning show, and he was pretty distraught to find out that he's not likely to have a better lifestyle than I do. Basically, the report says that African American boys from upper income households will not surpass their fathers in terms of their gains and their income and things of that nature. And this is kind of a big one, right? That the wealth today in Black America is essentially the same as it was 155 years ago whenever slavery ended, which is a pretty jarring number, right? I mean, the idea that you have slavery for basically 4 centuries. At the moment that slavery is over, the wealth of the African American community is basically the same as it is 155 years later when things have changed. And so the wealth is around 1% of the total. So that's what, Black America is no Wakanda. And so what this means, what this slide basically says is that the key point of that top part of the slide, which basically says that in the future, Black America is going to look like Wakanda in terms of racially segregated, right? So more and more neighborhoods are becoming racially segregated. But unless something drastic happens, it's not going to look like Wakanda from an economic standpoint. So you will have more Black and brown neighborhoods, but you won't have those neighborhoods with the wealth that you see on Wakanda. So as I mentioned before, communities will become more segregated. So the Harvard did a study in 2017 that showed that in 2000 there were 13,400 neighborhoods in the United States that were considered high poverty neighborhoods. And high poverty neighborhoods are those that essentially have at least 40% of the people in those neighborhoods are in poverty. By 2016, that number had grown to 21,300, and the numbers continue to grow. The proportion of poor people living in high poverty neighborhoods was 43% in 2000. 15, 16 years later, it's at 54%. What that means is that we know that historically, just because you're poor doesn't mean that you live in a concentratedly poor neighborhood. You may have neighbors who had resources, things of that nature. But more and more now, more than half of the folks in America that's considered poor live in high poverty neighborhoods. And so that's something that is troubling. Now, the bottom report, which is something called a report that came out called The Road to Zero Wealth, which came from the Institute for Policy Studies out of Washington, D.C., kind of is more alarming, right? So we're in 2018 now, so 2 years from now, the expectation is that the African Americans will have lost nearly 18% of their wealth that they had in 2013. Latinos, nearly 12%, whereas white wealth will increase by 3%. And this study was done before the 2017 December tax law, which I think is going to actually make the white wealth go up even more. 2020, the expectation is that white households will have 86 times more wealth than black households, which is a pretty significant number in my opinion. And finally, the expectation that the median wealth of African Americans will reach zero. And what median basically means is the point, the midpoint, right, where more people, the same amount of people are above that line as are below that line. So the expectation is that in 2053, which is about 9 years after minorities become the majority population, the expectation is that African Americans will reach a median wealth of zero. Now it's somewhere around a couple $1,000s. Latinos are expected to hit that number in 2073. So again, these are very kind of alarming trends if nothing changes. So we talk about America, let's talk about North Carolina. So North Carolina is no Wakanda either, and Durham is not. So concentrated poverty in Durham, North Carolina has been growing over the last decade or more, the last 50 years. Now this is a study that came out from the North Carolina Justice Center that just came out literally like a week or so ago. And the basis is that in North Carolina, over the last 15, 16 years, the neighborhood concentration has gone from 37 neighborhoods to 109 neighborhoods. That's those neighborhoods that have 40% or more in poverty. When you look at the next level down, which is 20 to 40% of the poverty level, then those neighborhoods have grown from 262 to 669. So you see kind of a tripling of neighborhoods that are high poverty between 2000 and 2016. Black poverty neighborhoods have increased by 203%, so almost 60,000 in 2000 and almost 180,000 in 2016. So the numbers are getting worse, not better. Kind of as you look at the other areas, let's move down to Durham. So Durham obviously is much smaller than North Carolina, but the neighborhoods in Durham that are considered high poverty have doubled from 2000 to 2016 from 4 to 8. And those residents in poverty neighborhoods have grown from about 4,700 to currently over 25,000. And so, again, these are troubling statistics. So I want to give a kind of a quick kind of critical background in terms of what does all this mean, right? So we have a nation and a state and a city that's moving more and more into segregated areas and becoming more and more segregated. And what is that going to mean for the community as it goes forward? So interesting enough, what's considered the golden age of black entrepreneurship happened from 1919 to 1929. What that means is essentially during that time period, you had African American businesses across the United States, certainly in Durham, that were growing and expanding, and it was kind of like a network that was going on. And so that's considered the golden age, which is during segregation. By the time the 60s came, we were focused on civil rights that looked at, how do you address these issues of past discrimination? What we know is separate but equal, and the solution to separate but equal was, well, let's not separate. And so the idea was that if you place African Americans beside whites, then essentially that will solve the problem, because now you can't give this kid here something that you can't give this kid, right? Same thing happened in the neighborhood, right? Well, you should be moving together and living amongst one another. But we know that people are able to essentially make their own choices. When they have resources, they can decide where they want to live, they can decide who they want to live beside, they can decide where they want to move their family and set up a home. And so essentially, the tools that came into play in the 1960s are really not going to be available, I would say, on on a broad level to address the issue of resegregation in the 21st century. For example, nobody's going to force a busing on anybody in this day and age. Secondly, I don't see any massive amounts of resources that's going to come out of Washington or any place that's going to try to rectify past wrongs that we saw in the past. And so, that brings us to this question, well, if those tools aren't available, then what is available? So one way to look at it is to look at, the buying power for Black America. The buying power for Black America has increased from 1960, you see 30 billion, to 1973, 70 billion, to 1.3 trillion today. If the African American community was a country, it would be, one of the largest countries in the world. And so there are resources there. And then, resources in technology, capital, and others have increased. And so in this idea of a post-racial world, does the fact that you're segregated mean that, that poverty is assured? Or is there a way to, have prosperity, in a world where people are more segregated? So here's the theory, here's the hypothesis. Like I said, this is an academic conference, so we talk in kind of academic languages. And so I started thinking about this, and I looked at some of the numbers around the United States, and the question is, well, we know that when poor African Americans or different races come together, then poverty ends up being concentrated. But the question is, say in a place like Durham, where you have a large number of African American people, but they're educated, right? A lot of folks come in through Central, they come through the other universities, they have jobs in the city, they have jobs in the county, they have jobs in RTP. When you have a more balanced mix of African American community who have businesses and aren't all concentrated in one community, in a poor community, will that have some impact on the overall, equity of the community? So my theory was, well, it could. I mean, let's look at that. And so I'm not going to bore you kind of what this is, but basically what the idea is looking at is this idea of economic equity ecosystem index. And the idea of that is that the ecosystem is essentially a community and the businesses of those communities and the institutions of those communities and how they tie together to have an impact on a particular race, a particular population. It doesn't have to be race, it could be almost anything. And just kind of to sum up what this did, I essentially looked at the overall population, looked at the ownership of the businesses, looked at essentially the revenue of those businesses, did a bit of mathematics and came up with this. So let me kind of try to explain this in the simplest way possible. So in looking at this this idea of whether when you have increased population of African Americans that aren't all poor, is this going to create more equity? And so the U.S. population of African Americans is 13%. North Carolina's population of African Americans is 21%. Durham's population of African Americans is 40%. So you see this kind of steady increase. And so the idea is that, okay, well, in addition to that, I mean, Durham is seen as being a very equitable community, right? I mean, people think of Durham as being one of the leaders of wanting to do the right thing. It's definitely one of the most liberal communities around, not only the state of North Carolina, but in the country overall. And so the idea would be that, well, certainly Durham would be able to show that there's, more equity here than, say, across North Carolina and across the United States. Well, actually, it turned out to be the exact opposite. So if you look at, kind of read this, if you look at the green line and it goes across, number one is, as you see, is white, number two is blacks, three is American Indians, four is Asian, five is Hispanics. You look at the green line is a perfectly equitable world. So if everybody in Durham or the United States or wherever, based on their population, was equitable, then that's what the green line, that's what we would all be. So if you look at the yellow line, that's the United States. African Americans, which are here, this is how far they're away from equity. For North Carolina is here, and for Durham is here. And so that was pretty surprising to me that gap would be that wide. As you see, whites are above the line. Interesting enough, American Indians and Asians are essentially equal to what their population is. And so they're basically where they should be from that standpoint. And then Hispanics are a bit lower, but by far, African Americans are doing the worst than anybody else when you look at this. So what does that look like in terms of figures? So I basically took an equity score and I created an equity score. So I want to give you some context what that means. So the range can go from negative 400 to 400. So what does a negative 400 look like? A negative 400 basically looks like a community that has two races. So let's think about South Africa during apartheid. So a negative 400 would basically mean that the black population would be the majority of the population, but the whites would basically control the majority of the wealth. And so the whites would basically be 400. The African Americans or the Africans in South Africa would be negative 400. So if all those numbers were zero, then that would mean everybody was perfectly equitable. And so you see that, number grows up for whites as you go from the U.S. to Durham, and it goes way down as you go from for African Americans and from U.S. to Durham. And so you see this continued gap. And what this shows is that in Durham, the gap between whites and blacks is much higher than it is between U.S. and North Carolina. And the other thing about it is that the green is 2007, the yellow is 2012, but Durham is growing, so it's actually getting worse. Whereas across the U.S. and across North Carolina, it's actually getting a bit closer. But that was essentially surprising to me that Durham would have that huge gap. So this is a busy slide, but I'm going to tell you kind of why that inequitable aspect came together, just to give you some sense of the simplicity of it. So basically what it says is that if you look at the top, which is U.S., North Carolina, and Durham, the population of whites in the U.S. is about 66%. Well, they control, in terms of the revenue from businesses, about 90% of the revenue from business. So 66% control 90%. Well, blacks is about 13%, but blacks only control basically 1% of the revenue from businesses. And so you have a population that's basically 13%, that only gets 1% of the revenue. Same thing for North Carolina, but the revenue number goes up. So 65% of the population in North Carolina is white. They control basically 94% of the revenue. 21% of the blacks in North Carolina, but they control less than 2% of the revenue. And then in Durham, it's around the same. Even though Durham has a very high population of African Americans, the businesses in Durham essentially control for African Americans only 3% of the revenue, whereas for white businesses they control over 90-91%. So that's where the huge imbalance comes from in terms of where does the revenue come from for businesses, and how does that then generate wealth over time. So that's why you see that huge gap along these numbers. So as I mentioned before at the beginning of this, I think that, at least in my opinion, in my research, Hayti may be the closest thing that African America has ever come to a Wakanda, meaning a place that your businesses thrive, and it doesn't mean that it was a utopia. It just means that it was a marvel during its time. Hayti is the area where the markers around the yellow dots, known as Black Wall Street, over 300 businesses at its height, maybe more. It had the world's largest business here, which was No Kind Mutual Insurance for many years. It also was known as capital black middle class, Black Wall Street, the city on the hill for blacks. It had more blacks per capita millionaires than any place else in the country. And so at its height, it was pretty phenomenal. I put this book up here. Some of you may know Dr. Andre Van, who's a history scholar here at North Carolina University. This is a book that he wrote with Beverly Watson Jones, who's a former staff here as well. I kind of put it on here because this lady right here, she's my former neighbor. She's like 70 years old now. But this picture was taken when she was at a birthday party, and she has this book in her home, so she always, every time I go there, she actually pulls the book out. Like I've heard the story about it 1,000 times. And she tells me about the party and the kids and all this kind of stuff. And so she looks basically the same, so she's taller and she got a lot more gray hair. But Hayti from essentially into slavery to 1958 was an incredible story around entrepreneurship. So let's look at the Hayti ecosystem, what I call the machine. And I'm going to read this quote because I think it basically lays the foundation for kind of what we're talking about then versus now. So W.E.B. Du Bois came to Durham around 1911. Booker T. Washington came in 1910. And so when W.E.B. Du Bois left Durham, he was so impacted by the experience in Durham, because everybody kept telling him, you need to go to Durham, you need to go to Durham, that he actually wrote something called The Upbuilding of Black Durham, the Success of the Negroes and Their Value to the Colony and Helpful Southern City. And this is what he said: to Today there's a similar group in Durham where a black man may get up in the morning from a mattress made by black men, and a house which a black man built out of lumber, which black men cut and planed. He may put on a suit which he brought at a colored haberdashery, and socks knit at a colored mill. He may cook victuals from a colored grocery on a stove which black men fashioned. He may earn his living working for colored men, be sick in a colored hospital, and birth from a colored church. And the Negro Insurance Society will pay his widow enough to keep his children in a colored school. Now, obviously, WB had a few gender issues, right? I mean, I'm sure there were some women in there somewhere doing a whole lot of work, right? But beyond that, basically what it's saying is that Hayti had its own ecosystem. You couldn't make this statement about any place that I know of in the 21st century currently, right? But in terms of the 20th century, this is what Durham was. And so I wanted to kind of put this in here because I found it very interesting. I talk about Hayti to my students in class and things of that nature. If you type Hayti or Wakanda, when you type in a document in Microsoft, right? So say it's Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or whatever it is. When you type the word Wakanda, it doesn't put one of those little red lines on it, but it tells you that you spelled it wrong. It actually recognizes Wakanda as a real word. If you put Hayti in there, it's going to put that little red line and think you spelled it wrong. And so I find that pretty interesting because, as I remind you all, Hayti is real, Wakanda is not. But it kind of feeds into what I tell folks when I talk about how I talk about this with my students. When I talk about Hayti, which we are officially in Hayti, Hayti goes on down to where the Highway 147 is and beyond. When we talk about Hayti, I tell folks I might as well start out the story with once upon a time and end it with, and they live happily ever after, right? I mean, it sounds like a fairy tale. The only problem with that is that we didn't live happily ever after. I mean, that's part of the challenge. So we get to the point of, what does Black Panther success tell us about economic hollowness of Black America currently? There's no Black economic ecosystem machine that generates this. So let me tell you what I mean. So during the Hayti height, you had black factories, you had retail outlets, you had movie theaters, you had all these things that were owned and staffed by African Americans. That was what I call primary revenue accounting. The secondary revenue, you had hotels, restaurants, you had this kind of broad products and services that was also owned and staffed by black folks. Even though Hayti was one of the few African American-led economic ecosystems that actually had white employees and white customers as well. And then I put repeat there because basically the money stayed in Hayti and just basically circulated around Hayti. So the second piece of this is the Black Panther. There's a whole lot more money made by Black Panther, so it's not going to stop. So the 1.2 billion that they made since February 16th is still growing. So Black Panther still generating money from the box office. In another couple of weeks, the DVD, Blu-ray, the HD, the video on demand will be released by Disney. Broadly speaking, so that's going to generate more funds. There's going to be a whole lot of sequels that come out of Black Panther. Anytime you have a movie that generates $1.2 billion, there's going to be sequels. There's going to be a number of sequels that come out of this work. In fact, this Friday, The Avengers is being released through Disney, and The Avengers basically includes the Black Panther. So if you've seen commercials on recently that stop the movie, they actually show the Black Panther as the hero in the movie, and so that's going to continue to generate revenue. Christmas is coming up. I've heard numerous parents talk about they can't wait to be able to buy Black Panther dolls and action figures for their children and clothing and lunch boxes and merchandise and things of that nature. So it's going to continue to generate resources. But again, you go back to the question earlier, will it matter? I mean, will it have a tangible and measurable impact on the Black community in America because it does that? I would say not, primarily because you look at there's no primary capturers that we have now, there's no ecosystem, which means that African Americans are not on the Black Panther intellectual property. Disney does. So there's no money that's generated from Black Panther being sold or marketed, things of that nature. There's no production factory, so as these lunch boxes and DVDs are being pressed and things of that nature, that's not going to end up going into the African American community. There's no metal or plastic producers, so as the toys are being made, that's not going to have an impact. And so on and so forth. There's no outlets, no delivery companies, no UPSs, no FedExes that will ship this stuff, no ownership of trains, no retail outlets, online or physical. And so whatever resources come out of Black Panther will not end up, I say, going directly back to the African American community. You know, Lexus was a huge partner of Black Panther. And, you know, so there's no strategic partnerships in those ways. From a secondary standpoint, let's say, okay, make 5 movies, or 10 movies, it doesn't matter, right? And say that you end up, where we'll have a great impact is on the movie business, right? So it's going to put up, you know, Black movies that have Black directors tend to have a lot more Black cast and so forth and so on. So there could be an impact there, but going back to this idea of secondary, if the African American cast, the crew, and director wanted to spend their money in the community, where would they spend that money? And so there's not those outlets. And so whether it makes 1.2 billion or 10 billion, it's going to have a limited impact on the overall community. And I kind of finished at the bottom of the slide with this particular note that to date, Disney has only donated $1 million of that $1.2 billion from the movie revenue. They invested in the Boys and Girls Club of America. And so out of $1.2 billion that they made, of course, all of that's not profit, but a lot of it is profit. They've donated $1.2 million to the Boys and Girls Club. So that kind of brings us to this conclusion. For those who saw the movie, you remember Eric Killmonger, who is the first cousin of T'Challa, Black Panther. And you know, the interesting part about it is in talking to people, you had a whole lot of folks that were cheering for Black Panther to succeed and to kind of be successful, but they actually kind of understood where Killmonger was coming from, right? And Killmonger his goal was to say, well, if we have this vibranium, if we have these resources that could help the African diaspora, why are we using it? And so I don't think that the average person that came out of the movie was thinking, well, you know, give vibranium and these weapons to folks to go out and basically colonize the world the way they were colonized. But I think a lot of folks were feeling like, well, why can't these resources be used in order to better the community and things of that nature? So I think a whole lot of folks were room for that. And I think that, you know, one of the interesting things about it is that when you do the research online, the movie was by far a popular movie. People loved the movie, but there was some criticism around the ending of it, right? So at the end of the movie, for those of you who saw, you remember that the what came by the end was that T'Challa, the Black Panther, used some of the money from the vibranium to buy the housing project that his cousin had grown up in, and to start essentially a STEM program for the young kids there. And there was criticism around that saying, wait a minute, you know, is that the best you can do? You coming up with a STEM program and buy a housing project, as opposed to something like, you know, why not create a venture capital fund or invest in the community and things of that nature? So that kind of brings us to this question: if we were to essentially think today, you know, what is the vibranium that the Black America has today that could actually have an impact on the overall community? Which brings us to now, what I want to do is set the stage for the panel that we're about to bring up and have this conversation from an education standpoint. Kind of the miseducation of being an entrepreneur. So Booker T. Washington and W. Du Bois, if you know the story, they weren't what I would call arch enemies, but they were rivals. They were rivals in the sense that W. Du Bois basically felt like that African Americans out of slavery should get a skill, and they should be hired to do work and become entrepreneurs. W. Du Bois was the idea of the talented tenth, which means that the most educated of the community are the ones that should lead the population forward. What W. Du Bois kind of laid out was this idea that education through the university standpoint could have a huge impact on what was going on in the overall community. So what T. Washington said at the end of slavery was that blacks are artisans, and what that basically says is that blacks in the South have been doing this work for hundreds of years, so they should be the ones that are most skilled at doing it, right? So that once slavery was over in 1865, that African Americans should be the leading entrepreneurs because they're the ones that have been doing the work in the South, and that was his philosophy. But there were three basically broad issues that made that pretty challenging. One was that most black artisans at the end of the slavery were illiterate. So 1870, in the census basically said over 2/3 of black artisans were in the South were illiterate. So, you know, it's one thing to be able to do the work. It's another thing that, I mean, if I can't read contracts, if I can't do the things like that. Number two, slavery allowed blacks to actually learn the information to be artisans. However, what it didn't do was it didn't teach folks how to be business leaders. It didn't teach folks how to be entrepreneurs. So there was a huge gap as it relates to that. And finally, even though slavery ended in 1865 over the Civil War, what ended up happening was that a number of black codes were passed. And what the black code essentially said was that any black who did not have an employer was subject to arrest as a vagrant. Which means that even if you were an entrepreneur, you could be arrested as a vagrant. A lot of folks were fined and arrested as laborers, and so it created a huge challenge as it relates to that. And so kind of finally, why was Hayti different? And No Kind of Sense was a part of what grew out of Hayti. James Shepard was a partner with John Merrick and Dr. Aaron Moore and a number of folks in Durham that created this essential. The Civil War ended in Durham. After that, the Black Enclave was created here in Durham that became Hayti. Originally it was called Hayti because they essentially were paying honor to the only nation that was created by former slaves when the folks in Haiti overtook the Napoleon army. They changed the Hayti later on, and they formed institutions by former slaves and African Americans that were free that created this kind of ecosystem. And they covered those issues like literacy and business skills and extreme white racism that other places couldn't. And the interesting part about it is that those W.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington couldn't agree on anything. One thing they agreed on was that Hayti was the most incredible community that they ever had experienced. And so in the present day, we have over 100 historical Black colleges and universities. We have thousands of PWIs, which are predominantly white institutions that admit Black students. We have hundreds of business schools that HBCUs and PWIs. We have numerous business education technical assistance programs that focus on helping Black entrepreneurs. We're not in a post-racial world, though some would say we are, but we don't have the outright Black codes that we did at one point. And so the question becomes, in the face of this, what's happening in entrepreneurship across Black America? So with that, I would like to invite to the stage our panelists today, Jermaine McGowan-Cherry, Dr. Jim Johnson, Eric Slim, and Keisha Williams. So help me welcome them to the stage. Anybody that's tweeting and doing those things, you can use the @BlackCom 2018 as a way to kind of express what's going on up here. So. I appreciate you all coming over today to be a part of this conversation. Appreciate you all being a part of this conversation as well. As I mentioned, I wanted to kind of set the stage and get a sense of where we are. So, could you take a few minutes to just introduce yourself and your name and kind of your affiliation?
My name is Eric Salim. I'm an instructor in the Department of Biology and Biomedical Sciences, but I also serve as the director of the NCCU Fab Lab, which is a creative space for digital fabrication.
Good afternoon. My name is Jermaine McIver-Cherry, and I am the Associate Director of Business Services at Carolina Small Business Development Fund. CSBDF is a statewide nonprofit lender who supports entrepreneurs and small business owners across the state. One part of our work is HBCU Partnership Program Initiative. So we want to be the CDFI of choice to partner with all 12 HBCUs across the state of North Carolina.
Good evening, my name is Keisha Williams. My day job is that of Director of Marketing, so you'd probably see me run around here trying to set things up. But my other job, and my love and passion, is that of Director of our Summer Youth Business and Entrepreneurship Academy here at North Carolina Central University. This is our 7th year of the Academy, my 4th year as its director, and we are a residential experience for high school students, high-performing sophomore, juniors, and seniors that allows them the opportunity to come on campus to learn foundational business principles, have a lot of interface with local businesses in the area. They do a live case study competition, and we have a really good time. And so Henry and I work together, and I have my colleague in the audience, Dr. John Slade, who is my partner in crime, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Good evening. First of all, I'm an alum of North Carolina Central University, class of 1975. My day job is as Keenan Distinguished Professor of Strategy and Entrepreneurship in Keenan Black Business School at UNC Chapel Hill, and I direct the Urban Investment Strategy Center in the Frank Hawkins Keenan Institute of Private Enterprise.
Thank you. So we have a very distinguished panel here. We also have folks that have different perspectives on this, and so I would like to kind of start out the question with specifically the work that each of you do. How do you see that tied into this kind of ecosystem of entrepreneurship?
Well, in my space is a creative space where students can come in with ideas. A lot of these ideas that students have the potential to be commercialized or IP. So again, my space, we provide digital tools. We have 3D printers, microprocessors, milling machines, laser cutters. All of these are tools to make and produce. So kind of different than the rest of the university where it's about knowing something. In my space, it's about doing something. And usually that doing is making something tangible. And when you start making tangible things, that's a product to us. And that puts us right in line with entrepreneurship.
So, as I mentioned earlier, Carolina Small Business Development Fund is a lender. So we make loans and we support entrepreneurs, and our focus is access to capital. And we have a mission to really support underserved communities. Oftentimes, people have the skill set to make things or to produce goods and services, but they don't really have the funding needed to really grow or start their business. So that's where Carolina Small Business Development Fund comes in, access to capital.
So we are kind of twofold. So we look at the academy as being a pipeline for students who are interested in studying entrepreneurship. We are able to provide them, of course, access to the university and be able to have lectures with professors, and so we're learning a lot of interpersonal skills, capabilities, and they're learning about all these foundational principles, and they're really getting kind of a first-hand view, personal view of what college will be like. So one of the things we do is have that pipeline. The other is to really engage with these young people. We're talking I guess they're still millennials. I don't know, they're calling something different now, but these are these aspirational, innovation-driven young folks who are interested, and they all have business ideas, all have business concepts, and we are providing them with a very unique experience to figure out ways to get these ideas off the playing field. We're able to expose them to things that they may not have been able to be exposed to in the past. In addition to that, we are specifically looking at low-income students as well. So about 40% of our academy are coming from rural areas of North Carolina. So very specifically, we're dealing with students who have families that have businesses, or parents are looking for opportunities to lead their businesses to their children, and trying to figure out ways to sustain kind of what their parents, their families have done, and really just contribute back to their individual communities. So we do a number of things in the academy, and I'm glad to be part of that.
So I teach several courses on entrepreneurship, and the one that I want to mention tonight is a training program. And I think you might have been in it, I don't remember, but we've been very concerned about the next generation of talent who's going to be in institutions of higher education, people of color who want to be training the next generation of entrepreneurs. So we have a Kaufman Foundation funded project called the Minority Entrepreneurship Boot Camp, where we train people not to actually form businesses, but the faculty, the next generation of talent that would be in higher education teaching entrepreneurship and the like. And so we probably trained, we did that for 3 or 4 years. We probably trained 45 or 50 people who are now in universities, many of whom have tenure and the like. And we have to prepare that next generation. Something like 66% of faculty in higher education are aging baby boomers. They're going to be gone pretty soon, including me. A lot of snow on the mountaintop. I mean, it's going to change. That's one thing. The other thing that I think is really, really important here, pipeline has been mentioned several times. I think that pipeline has to go back to K-12 education for entrepreneurship. We have a school that we launched in collaboration with the Church Union Baptist Church. They're called Global Scholars Academy. We have something at that school called the GSA Entrepreneurial Startup that we actually inculcate in our kids the entrepreneurial acumen as early as kindergarten, and we bring it forward. If we don't create that pipeline, we're going to be in big, big trouble down the road. My fear and my concern is about the enormous sex ratio imbalance that exists in higher education today. For 10 years now, the sex ratio in higher education has been 60% female, 40% male. I assure you at birth, the sex ratio is not 60-40. It's more like 50-50. And so the question becomes, and on our campuses, it may be 70-30. We had a school in the system several years ago that was 80-20, 80% female, 20% male. So where are the men? Where are the boys? That's why we got to focus early in education and grow both of them to become entrepreneurs. And I'll say one other thing. I think the problem is we put our kids in a box, and when they don't fit, we say they have attention deficit disorder. The most creative people in the world have attention deficit disorder. We need more of that. We need to unpackage this dangerous education system that we have and allow our kids to think crazy thoughts. 9 out of 10 of them may be bona fide crazy, but one of them may be the next revolution that transforms our society. We need to build upon that.
Absolutely, and I just want to piggyback on the services that we provide at Carolina Small Business. So we're not just a lender looking to get people in the pipeline to just throw money at them at their business. We also, business services, which is I'm the associate director of, we educate them. So we do a lot of programming around entrepreneurship, small business ownership. We have pre and post loan technical assistance. So what differentiates us from traditional banks is that we want you to be prepared both pre and post loan. So we're not just throwing money, but we want you to make sure that you're ready for capital and then able to, be sustainable after you receive capital.
I'd like to also piggyback on a comment that was made as it relates to education. In our space, there's no instructor. The students come in and they drive themselves. And I think that open-ended creativity will allow more students to get into education. I think the sage on the stage kind of thing is not working with the newer generation. They need more open-ended assessments and things to do, because they are really creative. They are inspired, but what I find is that going into a regular classroom kind of takes that away from them. So I definitely agree with what you're saying.
And then just one thing, and they're doers, and I think that's one thing about the academy is they want to get involved. They want to get in the trenches. They want to figure out how things work. They, yes, lecturing for them for 45 minutes is painful to them. They want to be engaged with what's going on while we do it and have this interaction with them and some of our business owners. They go to the facility that these businesses exist in. They get to see the customer. They get to see the interface. They're there and they want to learn. I mean, yes, they're getting principles, which are still important. There's a theoretic there that they need to understand, but they want to go out there and they want to make it happen.
Yeah, well, it's a good, very good point. I want to acknowledge before I ask this next question, because it may set me up, but so my two bosses are in the audience. You have Dr. Wanda Lester, who's Dean of the School of Business. You have Dr. Angela Miles, who's the chair of the department that entrepreneurship falls under. But I want to ask, I'm like Jim, and you can ask as well. One of those barbershop debates or beauty shop debates, kind of depends on where you are, is this question of whether entrepreneurship is taught or is it natural, right? Is it something that folks either have or they don't? I think I know your answer, but how would you answer that question about whether you can really teach someone how to be successful entrepreneurs?
I would just say it's natural for us because we've had no choice but to be entrepreneurs all our lives. And the second thing I would say, if you really want to see entrepreneurs, do like I do in teaching the prison system. You want to see the most talented and innovative, are. What we need to do is figure out how to get them out of that system and get them in the above ground economy. We can transform Black America. We incarcerated all of them, but we need to bring them out and give them the freedom to be in these spaces and plow their wares, as it were, in the mainstream economy. It's scary if you're a teacher that is so smart and sharp and the like. And sometimes I forget where I am until I look around and see there's no windows in there. But that's the real, really there. So I think that we have an innate ability to be entrepreneurs. One door shuts in our face. We have to figure out how to cut another one. And you know this because you and I got paper kept. If you look at the period 2007 to 2012, the Great Recession, Black and women-owned businesses grow more rapidly than white-owned businesses. Why? Because we're accustomed to a downturn, and the downturn is normal for us. We have to be entrepreneurial and be responsive in those settings. So I think for us, it's part of our DNA, and I think we have an opportunity to build on that in the kinds of programming that we're talking about.
Yeah, so Eric, you're in a unique space because you're in this kind of maker space and this kind of, people talk about Fab Lab. I mean, it even sounds, exciting, right? So two things. Could you help the audience understand kind of how the Fab Lab came to be here? I know there's a strategic partnership there and some great things. And secondly, tell us about what is the characteristic of the average student that walks into the Fab Lab as far as they company?
Okay, so first question, there was a graduate, I think it was 1961, Clarence Williams is his name. He's actually a professor emeritus at MIT. I think he graduated from the history department here. But it was through him and his collaboration with the MIT Media Lab. The MIT Media Lab is a fabrication center at MIT that has produced lots of IP property. But their outreach program is the Fab Lab, and it's to get the tools of technology into the hands of the underserved population. So through Deborah Saunders White, our former chancellor, and her relationship with Topper Peru, who worked at the MIT, he suggested that we bring it here to this campus, North Carolina Central University, which is the first and only one with a Fab Lab. So that's how we got started, through the outreach program at MIT and our connections with Eagles that are at MIT. Now, what a particular student looks like, we have students coming from all departments: art, BlackCom, physics, biology, chemistry, family and consumer sciences, nutrition, fashion, and all of them come with ideas. So these are idealists, I would call them. So they're either solving a problem or they have an idea, but they want to make it tangible. So they come to us, and we're happy to receive. Yes, so basically, like I said, organically, we give the student the tools, and they learn through failure. Like we have a thing in the Fab Lab that says, be comfortable with failure. It's a part of success, not the opposite of success. So through that failure, they learn. And by learning, again, organically, they become these experts.
Fantastic. So, ladies, so one of the, I think Jim was just part of it, but also, in the research that we've looked at, what you see is an incredible amount of growth in the female entrepreneurship, particularly Black women. Black women are kind of going off the charts. In fact, in North Carolina, Black females have overtaken Black males in terms of entrepreneurial business and things of that nature. And it's kind of an incredible kind of trend. In the work that you both do, I mean, Keisha, you in a few different kind of areas, both with young people through high school pipeline as well as here at the university. The main you deal with folks that are already in business and things of that nature. You have upcoming awards coming up in another week or so, kind of celebrate some of the small businesses. Do you see that same? I mean, are you seeing that trend in real time that we're seeing in the academic space? That you're seeing a lot of women, African American women, engaged in business and entrepreneurship?
So, yes, I think so. I think that we're kind of just pushing forward because that's what we do. We're women. So, but I think that, you know, in thinking about the resources that we have, the workshops that we have, it's predominantly women. We even started a Women in Leadership series at the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center, and our the VP of Business Services came and said, well, hey, can't we start a men in leadership? And I'm like, no, no, we're not going to do that. Like, we want to uplift women, and it's already been pretty much saturate that leadership platform anyway. But I do see a growing number of more women in my work, in my role.
Yeah, and I can't say that I have substantially seen that there is, you know, a lot more women. I'm trying to think right now through the students that we've had with the Academy of actually transition to the school and who have focused on entrepreneurship. And I am thinking of one in particular that I know to be someone who, and again, I don't know if this means anything or not, but I mean, these are, you know, people who bake, and these are people who, you know, had always had a sense of, you know, something that they like to do. And again, we may call it a hustle, we may call it just, you know, a hobby or whatever the case is, that we just enjoy doing. And a lot of times we do that as we do other things, but I'm definitely seeing a lot of real passion-driven projects that are coming out of some of the young ladies that are interested in pursuing their own businesses. But I'm gonna do something. Catch up back to your other question about entrepreneurship education, just real quick, because I don't know, you may come back to it. I apologize. I think Renee might be here. She has we've been talking about personality traits all day, so I apologize. But one thing that I really want to mention as it relates to entrepreneurship education is that there's a lot of skills that come out of that may not even equate to me owning my own business. I'm a director of marketing, but as the dean will tell you, I'm the only person in this role. And so the way I operate my business has been like that really I've been in corporate, and really it's been like that my whole career. So I've had to establish my own entity within my corporate space. And so I think having that level of education, whether it translates eventually to I'm owning my own business now, I think it's just important. I need to know how to manage my time. I need to know how to lead. I need to know how to articulate and communicate. You know, I don't know if you want to talk about some of the research you've done with the Academy, but just the pre-surveys that you do and the post-surveys that you do. The growth that we see of these students coming in. We've had students who are very quiet, very timid. By the time they finish this 8-day, 10-day experience, they're a different person. And so I think it is incredibly important, just for a number of reasons. Again, ultimately, it may lead to ownership of your own business, but just to have that level of education in our academy and in our schooling is very important.
Can you talk a bit about, since you brought up that, can you talk a bit about, in terms of, just a quick history of the Academy, right? So folks will know kind of how it came to be and.
Sure. The Academy, as I said, is about 7 years old. This is something that one of our professors, who has now unfortunately since passed, had decided that was important for the school to give back. As you're saying, K-12 education is incredibly important, and this is one of our K-12 initiatives within the School of Business. It started as a day program. Probably, I guess the first 3 years, it was a day program. Came in at 8, left at 5. Each year, they do a different theme, and even during that time, it was a theme. It could be healthcare, it could be technology, or whatever the case is. The students would, again, have lectures, and then they would go and visit various corporate offices around the area. When Dr. Lester came on board, she was just an amazing visionary. And she said, well, I think what we can do is expand this program. And this is, we have a lot of good things here. Let's now bring it into a residential space. Let's have them come on campus. Let's have them really interact with each other. Again, turn these whole skill sets that come out of, you being away from home for the first time, or you being, with a roommate for the first time, and learning how to be, college kid at 14, 15, 16 years old. These are all the things that our students are now able to do. We still maintain the idea that every year we have a different industry focus. The first year that I was with the Academy, we focused on hospitality and tourism, which is one of our wonderful majors here, but we work with the North Carolina Symphony. So another thing we talked about is expanding their ideas and their mindset. What we want to do is expose students to things that may be outside of what they normally would encounter. The symphony being one of those things. You know, I will never forget, we were probably in a room similar to this, and they were like, nobody likes the symphony. For them to understand there's a large subset of folks that like the symphony. And not only that, but the North Carolina Symphony wanted very specifically for our students to research and to present on ways that they can attract younger and more diverse audiences. So it was right up there, you know, they understood exactly who the market was, and they came up with some astounding presentations to complete the program. And it was given in front of the executive. So again, it's that, you know, I'm going to be able to do and be actively involved in something that we see a really quick return. The second year we worked on, second year, what did we do? We did
Social entrepreneurship.
Thank you. Social entrepreneurship. We did social entrepreneurship where we worked with local businesses in the area, very specifically wanting to know about businesses that have some type of social impact. And again, we had 5 businesses actually that they were great, largely minority businesses, if not all minority businesses we worked with. And then last year we focused on scalable entrepreneurship, again, with minority businesses specifically, because that's not always something we talk about. You know, there are absolutely minority businesses that are doing really well right now. And we wanted to show these students an example of that. And so we worked with a local business here that was ready to expand, and they did a wonderful job helping that business figure out ways to expand effectively while keeping the quality and the integrity of the business intact. We also introduced them to, we're talking about wealth. We introduced them to 2 very wealthy African Americans who have launched their own businesses. So again, we needed to show them, because again, this is a visual kind of a group of folks. We needed to show them that this can happen. And it's not just the Jay-Z's, and it's not just the Oprahs and the Beyoncés that are out there making all this money. There are Black intellectuals out there that's able to be very successful in their respective businesses. So they were able to witness that firsthand last year. This year I'm excited because we are planning for this year's Academy, and we'll be focused on rural North Carolina. So we're going to go back to some of the areas. We're actually focused on Asheville this year, and then we're going to be going back to those areas to work with the business there. And I think it's exciting. Because again, this is where they're from. We want to make sure that they're learning things that they can take back to their communities.
Yeah, good. And just anybody who watches the OWN network, Oprah Winfrey Network, if you ever watch the show Greenleaf, about the rabbit creature family, the Academy actually visited the site where that is filmed at last summer in Lithonia, Georgia. So they got a chance to spend basically.
Yeah, it's a Black-owned site. Yeah. That is a site that a Black entrepreneur who has made a lot of money through commercial investments had it, and Oprah saw it one day and said, "We want to film here," and you know the rest of it. There's a lot of things that are being filmed in that particular location as well. Yeah,
so he built the house for his mother, and so that's the main house in Greenleaf. I'm gonna ask a few more questions, and then I want to open it up to the audience so you can ask some questions. But I want to ask you, Jermaine, as the Carolina Small Business Development Fund, you have the Innovation Entrepreneurship Center that you all did a partnership with Shaw University. Can you talk a bit about kind of how that came to be about, and then also the other things that you're doing with HBCUs?
So our leader, Mr. Linwood Long, he had this vision of partnering with, again, all of the HBCUs, and he took to the then President Toshmi DeRoy this idea of developing an entrepreneurship center. Our second in command wanted to add innovation to that, and it birthed a tangible center, a real center where we can, again, do a lot of programming out of. We have some incubation space, some meeting space. We do a lot of workshops out of that. We started an entrepreneurship club, so we engaged not only just the students in faculty, but also community leaders. It's in Southeast Raleigh, one of the underserved communities in Wake County. And so that partnership has just been a model partnership for, in a really a strong model for other HBCUs. And each one looks different. So we partnered with FSU to do a joint grant proposal for an EDA University Center, and out of that we're doing some programming with students for a Cape Fear Forward model. And it's an eight-week entrepreneurial program training coupled with mentorship, access to a microloan, and also networking opportunities. With Elizabeth City State University, we developed an innovation and entrepreneurship center there. So they work again with faculty, staff, students. We have interns for that center, as well as the community, the small business community in Elizabeth City and surrounding areas. We are working on a partnership with NCCU. Hopefully that will pan out soon. We're also working with Johnson C. Smith University, but it's just really determining what the needs are, what the gaps are, how we can really work together. And I think there's so much power in partnerships. I think that it's been great in my experience with working with HBCUs. It's been a little challenging getting, the working teams together, but I think once we get together and really identify what's needed and what we can do together, it's really a very added value to the community, to the students, to the campuses across the state.
Fantastic. So Jim, I want to ask you a question. Particularly, you mentioned the need for this K-12 pipeline, right, and the importance of that. What's stopping that? What does that look like? Does that look like it as a regular curriculum in school? Does it look like some kind of weekend program? What does that look like?
Well, our school is an extended day year-round school, so we incorporate it into the extended day. I think they get 3 days a week of entrepreneurial education, and it's a partnership with our business school where MBAs, first and second year MBAs, actually manage the competition, work with the kids until they get to the competition, prepare them for their pitches, and then we bring them to pitch. So we do it just like we do it in colleges and universities, but beginning early and then with sustained engagement, so we build that pipeline.
And should that be picked up by public schools?
I would think so. Why not? I think the point is that not every kid fits into a class. I mean, they're creative, and let's allow them to be creative and give them the space to do that. There's one other piece of entrepreneurship, if I can mention it. We've been talking a lot about millennials, but the research shows that the greatest number of startups today are not among millennials, but among the 55 plus population, this thing called encore entrepreneurship. And there's one thing that I think is needed in the African American community, because we have so many people who, as a function of discrimination or like, have gotten to that age and they don't have the kinds of resources that white people of the same age have. So I think that we need in the universities to pay attention and create spaces in these environments where we're doing entrepreneurship for encore entrepreneurs, African American encore entrepreneurs, because I just think that that's a crucial key point of need in our community. We ought to reach out to those entrepreneurs. Their partnership with Small Business Administration, AARP, have programs that we could form linkages with to make sure that that encore entrepreneurship piece is a part of the pipeline from birth to mature age. Of making sure that we foster entrepreneurship and sustain it in our community.
You actually, kind of moving to the last question I'm going to ask all of you before we turn over to the audience. I want to ask Eric something real quick first, and then ask another person. So what do you hope, Eric, when a student comes in, or the students that come into the Fab Lab, whoever comes to the Fab Lab, what is the goal at the end of the day? What is considered success with the Fab Lab?
Oh, great question. Success in the Fab Lab would be learning a new skill that you can apply in a work environment. I think that would be a success. Another success would be the actual producing your idea that you came to produce. Like you went through the work, and now you have this tangible product. what your next question is going to be, but I would like to mention something that is stifling entrepreneurship in our space is the intellectual property policy. That's stifling a lot of creativity. Right now, that policy is like 60-40. 60 to the university, 40 to the creator.
You mean if somebody creates something here on campus?
Right. That's the policy right now. So what I see that creating is a lot of like Bill Gates, like people that leave and try to take their product with them and get it off at another place outside of this. I would like for it to happen here, so that Central can be put in the light, and then we will be viewed as a place that sparks entrepreneurship, so that more people will come to us. So right now, I'm dealing with that IP policy at the university.
I just saw Dr. Brenda Briggs Small from the law school run out a few minutes ago. She comes out, I need to see you. She's headed this intellectual property institute here at the university that just got launched. We've been on a few partnerships with them. We also here we have an incubator space that we utilize downtown Durham as well called American Underground. We have we're launching an angel network as part of the university as well. So there's a lot of pieces of this, and so you two may have kind of answer part of my question I was going to ask, but you can feel free to kind of add to. So before we go to the audience, the last question I have for you is this: we talked about all these kind of things that are going on and what we're doing, and kind of the good things and all those things. But if you had what's missing? What is missing from this kind of ecosystem? You can answer either from a university standpoint, or you can answer from a broader standpoint. What is missing from the Black community standpoint in terms of entrepreneurship, education, or whatever, any other aspects of it?
One of the things in our lab, where we have students that are working outside of the classroom, the time and effort they put into their project sometimes takes away from the classroom. I have to remind them, you do have to go to class. That is your purpose for being here. This is ancillary to that. So if we could have something where what they do in the lab kind of fits along with their course of study, so there's not something separate from it, but a part to it, that marriage would be wonderful. As it relates to my space, the Fab Lab. So I try to come to a lot of departments and see about getting into their department and infusing some maker into their curriculum in some type of way. But that would be great for us, because like I said, students are spending lots of time in the lab. And if they were doing that academically, that would be great. Yes.
So when I was thinking about the question, what is Black America's vibranium, I think, partnerships. There's power in numbers. I think we need to work more together than in silos. And to piggyback on what Keisha was saying, I've conducted interviews across different HBCUs, and one thing that's missing is just awareness. We don't know what we don't know. It was alarming to me the number of people in a Launch Raleigh program who are not students but adults, mature adults, who does not know what a co-working space is, does not know what an HQ is on American Underground, and they just don't know. And then also looking at entrepreneurship outside of the schools of businesses. I think there's a lot of great ideas that are born across other disciplines, but how do we reach those people? How do we reach those students and say entrepreneurship is something that's attainable and doable for you, even though you're not pursuing a business degree? And so, yeah, that's what I think.
I'm still in my So I absolutely agree with Jermaine. I think cross-cultural networking is incredibly important as well, because we're talking about sustainability. And in order for our businesses to thrive in the way that we need it to thrive, it is important that we have relationships across the board, not only with our own community, but across with other cultures. And again, to understand what American Underground is, what a frontier is, and understand the resources that are available to them. I'd also say flexibility. Not that our folks aren't flexible, but we are passionate people. And I think that there are cases, and I don't know if you've seen this at all, Eric, where they get so headstrong in direction, that it's hard to get them to move to something else. Even if the industry is dictating something completely different, or if the market is saying you should alter it in a certain way. And I think that's the thing, again, it's about getting it to market, getting it sustainable, getting it to produce some kind of revenue, I get it, because I think that at times a student or the person feels like they're being unfair to their art, and they don't want to, to do anything to mess that up. But I also think it's important for us to be intellectual. It's important for us to research. It's important for us to understand what is going to work, and be okay and be flexible with how we're configuring our product and service to truly fit that into what the market wants it to be. So I don't think that's fine.
I think we need in higher education and entrepreneurship training program a greater emphasis on what I call intellectual entrepreneurship. Because I think that we don't do a good job of preparing our young people or anyone that we work with for making pitches, not recognizing that the people you're pitching to, one of them could be to the right of Attila the Hun, the other one could be to the left of Mother Teresa. And then there's you standing there having to deal with those diverse perspectives, but not having the intellectual background or acumen to respond without coming off flippant or, getting a reputation or something of that nature. So there's a whole trend in intellectual entrepreneurship that I think needs to be the anchor of entrepreneurship training programs. I think Lean Campus to me and Google have ruined what academicians and entrepreneurship academic programs should be about. At the end of the day, you're still getting a college degree. You need to be, I think we need to prepare our students to be evidence-based in what they're doing. Just like in science, you can't do it in a science lab without being evidence-based. The same rules apply for social entrepreneurship, for social innovation, probably more so because, the values at the core of anything that we do. I see it every day in the young people that I teach in our Carolina Entrepreneurial Initiative. And I want to throw this word away called pivot. Because when they don't know stuff, they say, oh, I'm just going to pivot. No, you need to go back to the library and sit down and get your education anchored in a firm understanding. This is not about pivot. It's about knowing your stuff when you walk in the room and being confident that you can handle the kinds of diverse perspectives that are going to come at you. In particular, if you're a person of color or a woman or something like that, you got to be wired for sound. And that's our job in higher education, to make sure that they're wired for sound.
Fantastic, fantastic. So are there questions out in the audience?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Philip Nasida Mutisia, professor here in education. And first of all, let me commend you for such a brilliant way of presenting information, so it's not putting me to sleep. and for one, Johnson, I want to also appreciate, because in any other forum you have presented, you stay the same and you do not live like up here. And you can tell where I am going. For example, looking at this room here, I don't see our students. And I see people from the community. The same thing, we had a wonderful international symposium. There's a couple things I want to ask, and then see whether we can have a conversation to reflective enough to bring solution. I don't want to lay on negative or what is not there. It's what we have not been able to engage. There is a silo. I appreciate the silo perspective, because this program here I should not have heard it through another university. I should have heard it through the people in university number one, which is this international symposium revealed to me. Also, I tend to see our faculty not engaged to leverage the skills the students bring them. So we bore them. No wonder you don't see them here. When I was in school in other place, I was here because I'm engaged. I came to this program. I was going home already and came back because I knew I'm going to listen to something much closer. I've been hearing about you, never met you, and just still in the same university. I like all what I know you, but we have not looked at how we integrate our interaction in terms of, we talked about in the disciplinary approach. Entrepreneurship is not one business or education or the mathematical, it's the whole person. And so I am offering to help, I need your help. The International Symposium, it revealed a great deal of potential of how do we, first of all, educate our kids from K-12 to incorporate that leadership and understanding international does not mean, or global does not mean going out there, it's a grassroots level. So I'm looking for that collaboration here, and today was in the Carolina Theater, about 6 people, leaders, jumped when I mentioned the opportunity. Quick one. Global Peace Foundation saw that in us. We are the only HBCU or university in the United States which we are partnered with. We have an MOU with the Global Peace Foundation. But they want us to engage the community in building peace. But peace to me is entrepreneurship, youth leadership, character education, and whereby they put in a space like similar to that where they interact. But I need to know how do we engage, because it's not if we are, it's how do we, because they are going to open up avenues for money to fund. Because they believe in three things. Revenue, people, and organization. An institution, I think in higher education, we can flip what are we doing in education and higher education if we start collaboratively engaging in an interdisciplinary perspective and then start talking to the young people like something they can't reach. And this is why I see all the students. I've been teaching over 30 years, and my brother Johnson can attest that. But I appreciate that you're not getting tired of trying to put the message across, because the more we need them coming together. And I truly appreciate this forum, which is, I want to find out how can I engage you, because in 3 months, I have to come with a infrastructure which integrates all aspects, community, business, industry, RTI is on board too. We have a MOU with them too, because they saw that we've been here, sitting here since it was created, and now they came and say, okay, we want to do more. And then in Uganda, we have a conference in Uganda in August. I'm looking for delegates from here, from the community, the school, and wherever, so we will take that, because we are partners in global peace. It's no longer how we can do it or not.
And I'll actually just say, because I got to put in this plug now, the Global Peace Foundation, is that we've actually took our students, took our academy students to the UN for their youth summit. And World Bank, we went to DC, and we went to the UN in New York, and it was amazing. It's something unlike I've ever seen before. And
You're looking for 2 students right now for them to sponsor for August.
We're going to get on that. Because it is. I mean, you're talking about students from all over the world. And to me, again, was this idea that these young people, it always brings tears to my eyes, because it was these young people who can speak so passionately about where they're from and have such a desire for us as a global space to be united. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was something that our young people were able to get a lot of inspiration out of, and I think we both kind of came back saying, yes, we need to go back, and we need to make sure of that. But as we were saying, for one, yes, I agree with everything that you said. And I know that at one point, Eric and I were speaking about these types of collaborations, and we definitely want to do that because we understand the importance of taking full advantage of all of the students who have aspirations to do that, and I'm sure that's in the works, and we'll be working on that as well. Yeah, it's something that we want to provide just a free form for our students to have access to whatever it is that they want to have. And again, a lot of that, and I think we kind of mentioned that, is they don't know what they don't know. And so having the opportunity to go to the UN and the World Bank and seeing people from other countries and being able to communicate with them, it just opens their eyes to so many things that we, I think, as an institution can continue to do that and promote those types of opportunities. These students will be able to do whatever they want to.
I would say when you try to pull together something interdisciplinary here, with the faculty having so much of a large workload, it's difficult for them to get release time from their department to be shared with another department. It kind of leaves gaps in their own department. When they leave out to offer some of their time interdisciplinary, then there's the whole paperwork that goes into developing classes and all of that, and it happens so slowly. So I think the best way to do that would be to do something informal outside of the classroom setting. Although ideally I would like it in the classroom setting, but to kind of get us going and up the pace, I think it probably needs to happen first outside, whether it's Saturday academies, whatever can happen, in the evenings or whatever the case may be, it needs to happen that way. And then, having that way, we get great success, and maybe it'll be like, oh, maybe we should put this in the classroom. I don't know. But that's what I say.
I just wanted to thank you all for your time. You gave a lot of great information. I would like to know how do students enroll in any of your programs during the summer, and also how do we change the mindset of educators, because I'm learning as an educator myself that a lot of teachers are focusing on just a paycheck, so they're pushing our students through without actually teaching them. And I've actually left the education industry and started my own education consulting firm to work with the educators to change their mindset and understand that if you do the right things with $1, then when you go into the classroom, you'll be vibrant and that energy will be felt by your students and they'll want to succeed. So that's what I'm working on at this moment. But if we can all work together to change the mindset of the educators, I think that would be very important.
Well, I would say, at least my space, NCCU Fab Lab is open to all of the NCCU community. The way we're structured currently, there's 2 ways you can access us, particularly I'm talking of students. You can come in as an idea. We have these students that we call techs that have been through our training program, which is another thing you could do. But anyway, so if you come with the idea, we'll give it over to a tech and they'll kind of like coach you through it. They'll ask you first if you want to learn any of the tools or hardware. If you do, then we'll bring you in and train you with that. If not, then it'll be a job totally for the tech. So that's one way to do it. If you're interested in learning everything in the lab, you come in as a member and we train you on digital equipment and software. And as you're trained, you produce these artifacts. And as you go through your trajectory, what we like at the end is a culmination where you can take various machines and have them work together to produce one tangible thing. So take all of the different knowledges that we've given you and now come up with a project. So that's how we do it in the Fab Lab.
Just quickly from my standpoint, I teach entrepreneurship curriculum here. So somebody's a student here, then they can take, particularly I have a class called New Venture Management, which is essentially the introductory entrepreneurship class. It's a pretty popular class that tends to fill up, but we have had folks who come from outside of the business school, from other departments who can sign up. And generally what happens is they see it online and they say, just contact the instructor. And so they tend to come to me and ask if it's all right if I kind of give them permission to be in the class. And so I tend to do that. So for me, that's kind of the process. Keisha, you want to give a little quick about this?
Yeah, unfortunately, our application deadline was Friday for the Academy for this summer. We typically have the applications out February timeframe, so it's usually between February and April that we put it out there. It is on our website at nccu.edu/business. If you go on our website, you'll see a link that says Summer Academy. And so we definitely encourage around the February timeframe to be looking for it, and there'll be no application at the time.
Yes, thank you for your time. I got here late, so I didn't get the first part of this panel. But I have I didn't realize, is this just student-based? It seems that everything is insular. It seems to be more about the universities and what the universities are doing for students, as opposed to what Mr. Johnson had said, which really piqued my interest, the encore entrepreneurship. Because what I see happening, I've been an entrepreneur for like over 40 years, and what I'm seeing happening is that baby boomers who have been in business, and there's one sister in particular here in Durham who's been on 9th Street, which is a very busy retail corridor here in Durham, for 25 years, and she's going out of business. And she's done vast outreach to all the financial institutions and organizations here in Durham, and she's gotten no assistance. And she is the only African American on 9th Street that has a business for over 25. No, she's the only African American on 9th Street that owns a business, and she's literally going out of business as we speak. She's trying to transition into something new because things have changed. But what I'm seeing is that the erasure of Black businesses here in Durham would be a very thriving place for entrepreneurs. And do any of you have any solutions or ways that you can assist this particular woman to save her business? I mean, is any of that part of what you do?
We have a nascent program on business succession planning for boomer businesses that have reached a point where the owner is about to retire and there may be no one in the family to succeed them. And there's a whole process that you can take people through to think about succession, whether you want to sell it to someone else. I'm sorry? I understand that. You asked the question, was there anything that I think that there are lots of programs. I don't know why there are assistance programs for those kinds of things, but I was going to talk about business succession, but that's not your question.
Can you share a little bit more about, I know, is it like the Play Store? Can you share a little bit more about her business and what she does? Because I did read that story and I don't have a solution, but I mean, it was a very popular story and it looks like she was trying, everything she could think of.
Yeah, she is. I've been trying to help her because I have a degree in marketing, but my marketing is 20th century marketing. Marketing now, she needs 21st century marketing, and she needs finance. I mean, it really boils down to finances, because, like I said, she's been there. She's been to, from what I understand, just about every single organization here in Durham, and it's like a roadblock. The answer is we're sorry. We're very sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. And she has expended all of her finances and everything just to maintain. She wants to transition into another business. I had told her about 2 years ago that the new business model, like something like vegan food or vegan, because that's really hot right now. And she's on a corridor which has many, many restaurants and so on. So she's considering that, but she has very little time.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, because as I mentioned before, one of the things that we're talking about with the Academy are parents at home businesses who are trying to, so essentially I'm going to use this as an example. There was a young man whose father was a mechanic, and his father's business was kind of failing. He wasn't figuring out ways for his business to continue to thrive. And what he did was create a website, and the website was going to put junkyard pieces together so that his father could have an additional stream of income coming in. So to me, what we could do potentially from kind of the young person perspective is to have these young people, as you said, you know, maybe the marketing thing is what could be prohibiting her from keeping up with what market demands are right now. But that could be very well what we focus on and what these young people come into with some kind of ideas on how to compete in a market that could be, you know, fledgling in some ways. A lot of that is through social media, a lot of that is through some kind of internet interface where she could expand her product offering and capability. That way, I apologize, I'm not familiar with the story, but I think that what we can do is, you know, put some of our focus on it. I don't know if it's too late to do that, but I'd be interested to see.
Well, the location is amazing.
Yeah.
It's right around the corner from Duke University.
Okay.
And right across the street from Alpaca. And subways, and I mean, the corridor is making hundreds of thousands of dollars sheets.
Well, I would say this, I mean, we have over in the past, I have several classes that I've had students to work with entrepreneurs as, you know, essentially as consultants. And we work with small entrepreneurs, we work with some companies out of Raleigh, we work with larger institutions like Wakanda Mutual and things of that nature where we've taken a semester. Of course, I mean, obviously I know this situation is probably kind of very dire right this moment, and so I understand that, you know, that may not be a solution right this moment, but I mean, but there are ways that we do engage with the community to try to help entrepreneurs. They tend to come to me through one way or another. We see whether there are ways that we can kind of help them recalibrate the business or things of that nature. But certainly one of the things that is important is to figure out ways that we can be, you know, engaged more. Certainly this particular conversation was around the university and certain things, but I mean, that's being able to keep businesses up and running in Durham and beyond is important to us. So it's not just an insular thing. There's a desire to help broadly. I did some work for a while trying to help for those who've been in Durham, Blue Coffee Cafe, which was in Durham for a very long time, and then they got displaced because of the renovations downtown. And you know, we tried to help them move from one place to another, put together things like a GoFundMe, move to the Wakanda Mutual, and in the end we weren't able to kind of save them, but we were able to engage in that situation. So I'm certainly, I mean, you know, I'm certainly willing to connect with her and do what I can. Henry McCoy, you can find me on the NCC website, entrepreneurship, and try to bring whatever resources I can to the table.